Man, it is probably one of the hottest Idrothiera summers that I've dealt with in a very long time. So much so that the other day I decided to go up into the mountains and do some hunting of like open season creatures, because nothing else is in season right now. And I went over there to the Arcana mountain range. About it spans a good portion of the middle of the country, and so I went like northeast of Voxtum over towards the School of Mount Arcana, School of Magic. They're out of session right now because it's, summertime, and they actually will let you pay 10 silver and keep your horse there for you while you go up and adventure in the mountains for hunts and stuff. So I decided I wanted to go hunt Velociraptor, and I went up there, paid for them to take care of my horse for a day, and went into the mountains early in the morning, and it was a good time. I say we, I guess just me. I didn't have anybody go with me this time, although I wish I would have. The wind was blowing out of the north, thankfully. That helped me out right out the gate. I found a very, very good game trail, and so I knew I would come across raptors at some point, and about halfway of halfway, I guess, because for the Mount Arcana mountains, you get about halfway up the mountains, and I was on actual Mount Arcana, because it's up behind the school. It's a really good mountain for climbing, and has some really good cover on it, because halfway across the mountain range, once you get about halfway up in elevation, the vegetation stops. So you hunt right there close to that line where the trees are real thick, right there on that line, and you can come across a lot of really good animals. And the raptors live there because there's a lot of good prey. There's deer, there's elk, there's all kinds of things. And so they primarily eat deer and elk in this range here, and we'll get into that a little bit more later on. But start walking off of the edge of the game trail. I stayed about 10 yards away from the game trail to where I could keep my eye on it as I climbed the mountain, and I get halfway up, and that's when I see my first raptor track, and it was a good size, and these raptors were really smart. They stayed in each other's tracks the whole way, anywhere I saw their tracks. And so with the wind blowing out of the north, they weren't going to catch my scent. But then it changed going west to east, and whenever it changed west to east, I still didn't have any issues because of the directions that the raptors were going, because they came from the east, went north, and kind of started to travel to the west a little bit, but they stayed along the game trail, much like I was doing. And I was really careful moving up the mountain to stay close to cover, if not under cover, the whole time. Moving from rock to rock, tree to tree. And when I say rock to rock, there's several good-sized boulders that have rolled down the mountain over the years and have found decent resting spots, and they're bigger than me, and I'm gonna work. They're easy to hide behind, and they make great, places to rest a crossbow to take a shot, or if you have one of these newfangled shotguns like I've got, it's good for those too. Great cover if you're going to shoot a longbow, even you can go around the side. You can still shoot over the top and be covered almost up to your chest. And so they cover all over the place, and I still hunted from the ground. I could have, got up in a tree. I didn't do any tree hunting yet. Tree hunting is not one of my favorite things, to be honest with you. So, kept it on the ground, like often. And I won't say always, but as I got up there, I heard one before seeing it, and before it saw me, or at least it seemed that way. So they start coming back down the trail my direction. Thankfully, wind's still going east to west at this point, so I'm good as far as that goes. But I had to backpedal just a little bit to get back behind a rock. So about 15 yards in front of me is where I stopped. And if they get close to that, they're going to be able to smell me. And so the alpha is coming down the trail with 5 other raptors behind it. I was nervous because if I take a shot with my longbow, I don't know if I'm going to be able to take off more than that. The whole idea was to try and find one and isolate it. But in this case, I'm in danger. And so I load the shotgun and I start getting ready to take my shots. I wait till that first raptor, the alpha raptor, is almost to my track. And right before it gets to where it picks up my scent, right before it gets there, I took my first shot and I got it right in the head. And it rocks him pretty good. Surprisingly though, it didn't drop him. And so then I had to take another shot. But then, at that point, we came into a very stressful situation because I, again, started getting attacked by what I was hunting, much like the shadow turkey. But, obviously, I lived to tell the tale, right? Spoiler, I guess you could say. But, we entered into a battle of sorts. Was holding my ground as best as I could, and I ended up getting another shot off and killing that raptor. And then one of the other raptors, I had honestly figured that once I dropped the alpha that they would have taken off running. But the, I guess, second in command, you could say, was very, very stubborn. And whenever that one dropped, she assumed leadership very, very quickly, and I knew I was in trouble at that point, more so than what I already was. And so took another shot at that one and wounded it pretty bad. But the number game was starting to get to me. They got a couple good scratches in, sliced me up pretty good. Thankfully, I made it back down. Well, we'll get to that here in a minute. I'm putting carts before horses and all kinds of things right now. So I move towards, out from behind the rock at this point, and I'm making my way to a tree. I'm trying to keep distance between myself and these raptors because, well, I'm tired of getting cut. It was like sword blades. I mean, these things hurt. And it was rough. It was real rough. So finally dropped that second one and just instantly start working on the third one, and I dropped him pretty quick. But by the time I dropped the fourth one, the other two decided it was time to split. And so they knew I meant business. Again, real bad shape at this point. I had to drink a potion of greater healing to get myself back around, and I actually can conjure little berries with a piece of mistletoe. And so I ate one of those and was able to get a little bit of my strength back through some nutrients. And that's when I began to work on skinning the hide and breaking the animals down and putting the meat in my bag of colding. My bag of colding is like really good at keeping meats preserved. I don't go on a hunt without it. Definitely find you a bag of colding if you don't have one. So broke the raptors down, and the hides were pretty good from like the neck down, because I was making sure to aim for the heads, and so I've got some really good hides. I kept the alpha's hide because it was so nice that I didn't want to lose that. So that I'm actually tanning right now. I've got it hung up, drying out. I am extremely tired and feeling very beat up, friend, but it was so worth it. The memories that I'll have whenever I have friends over or what have you, I can show off this raptor hide. Like, yeah, he led quite a group of wild ones. I sold some of the meat and some of the hides for about 50 gold altogether. But I kept a good chunk of the meat, probably a raptor and a half. So I sold a raptor and a half and kept a raptor and a half. And I had some raptor stew tonight for dinner. So what I did was I cubed up the meat. I have a garden out back, and I grabbed some of my vegetables from out back there, a couple of good tomatoes, and I threw the tomatoes in a skillet first and got them real good and hot, and they started to kind of bust open and blister, and I took them from there. And I like spicy food, so I had some peppers. I threw all that in my stew. That was actually, I took one of the legs, like the upper portion of a raptor leg, and threw it in my pot with some water so I could have a broth of raptor bone broth. And the meat, obviously, after a while, just like fell off the bone, and it was so good. And I had some couple-day-old bread that went with it. It was real crusty, but man, you dunk it in that stew, and really good. So this is kind of like a catch, cook, clean kind of episode. Catch, clean, cook, however you want to say, but a catch, clean, cook discussion with you, friend, this week. But that's pretty much all I've got. One of these days, I think I'm gonna have to take you to work with me and talk to you about my work while I'm doing my work. I don't know quite how I'm gonna do that yet, but I might do that before the seasons really start, because I know we're going to be getting close to hunting season starting soon. It's been quite the summer, catching people that were poaching some wood ducks and poaching some other critters, and fishing in places they shouldn't have been fishing, and property lines have kind of started becoming a thing nowadays. People not wanting people on their property, but there's still plenty of government land out there to hunt. Thank goodness that there's some open land for us to still go out there and harvest, like the different forests and stuff that I like to frequent. But with that, I think we're gonna say goodbye. So take it easy and rest well, friend. Can't wait to talk to you again.